Today I want us to talk about how to survive the squeeze, how to survive in this season when there is reduced economic activity. And we can even go from surviving to thriving, how to thrive in this season of reduced economic activity. Yeah. George is saying Zambia schools closed, churches closed, airport closed, only supermarkets open, public transport is still on, bless you Zambians. In Uganda public transport is off. Njuki Matovu Charles, Katosi Road, Mukono, Kwemolinyo Kajambo, Pastor Angela Sanyo. All right. So you've heard the news. The president keeps coming every day and introducing one more node, one more nut onto that system. And if you're observant and you're a person who thinks and thinks ahead, you understand that he has been preparing us all along. Like from day one, the things he said, they piled on to the next time he came on, and then they piled on. So there is a progression. There is a progression of how things keep getting a little bit squeezed. So if you are a person who projects ahead, you have to be thinking, what next? So now you can move around in your car, on your bicycle, or if you are really good at running, you can jog to your kiosk or your appointments, wherever it is. But what next? What next? How about now if they say even you can't move around in your car? What do you do? The other thing is, and you know, I'm a person of faith who is an architect. So when you're designing buildings, you would design for what we call the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is the design principle when you're designing buildings. And so you have to ask yourself, earthquakes don't come by here often, but what if it came? Is your building ready? Because you don't want that one time it comes once in 70 years to be the calamitous time. So what if this thing, so now 14 days, no public transport. Those are 2 weeks. So what if it becomes a month? What if it becomes 2 months? God forbid. What if it becomes 6 months? Now, most people say we'll see when we get there. I would like to propose that that's not a good strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Waiting to see when you get there is not a good approach. But here we are. What if? So, considering what's going on, your best case scenario in terms of preparation is that you have an investment that keeps giving money even in this time. Maybe you are invested in a supermarket or a kiosk or a shop, a retail shop, and the neighbors are going, the neighborhood, because now people can't take a taxi to go shop wherever they want. They have to shop from that shop in the neighborhood, and the neighbors have to shop from there. That's your best case scenario. You have an investment that keeps giving. The next best case scenario is that you've been listening to the things we've been preaching, and you have been saving your 20% and investing, and maybe saving some others as cash reserves, what we call a buffer. Bill Gates, we worked very hard. He used to work very hard back then to make sure that he had salaries for Microsoft for 1 year, so that if they didn't get any business for 1 year, he would be able to pay salaries for 1 year. We've been preaching so hard to the business owners in Business Garage and other places, telling them, put aside the 20%, the 20% for business growth and buffer, business growth and buffer. Some people have been living too close to the edge. Now they are calling on sources that they shouldn't be calling on right now. So that's your best case scenario. You have a buffer, you have some cash reserves you have not been spending 100%. You've practiced these principles for years. You've been tithing 10%, giving 10%, investing 20%, and making sure that you're only spending not more than 60%. So that's your best case scenario. By the way, even as we talk, you can tell us how you are going through this, what you're doing, because this is an interactive session. If you type it, everyone else will be able to see it, because we want to tap into your wisdom, the wisdom that you are sharing with us, those who are out there. Let us know how you are making it through the season. So best case scenario is you have reserves. Rather, you have an investment, you have cash flow. Cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. Whatever happens, if you have cash flow, you're sorted. Next best scenario, you have reserves, not just. So cash flow is best case scenario. Next best case scenario is reserves. Problem with reserves is they run out eventually if the thing goes on too long. So we are going to go into what to do with those reserves. But let me bring up what I think is even better than the best case scenario. Let's say you find yourself in this place, maybe a little bit prepared, maybe you have some cash reserves, maybe you don't have anything, and then the situation is right here with us. Just start thinking, okay, now you're at home, stuck, but maybe you have 2-3 other friends. You all have cars, you can still move around. Ask yourself, play the advantage. What advantage can I play on this field right now? Because the field has changed. Let's not kid ourselves. The field has changed, but you still have your mind. You still have your capacity to think, capacity to connect with others, and capacity to discern the situation. What's the advantage? What is needed right now? What is needed right now? So for example, right now, everyone is buying sanitizer. Do you have a friend who is a chemist? What does it take to produce sanitizer? Everyone is buying soap. What does it take to produce soap? Everyone is buying dry rations. Wheat, flour, maize flour, beans, groundnuts, etc. What does it take to participate in these things? Food. What does it take to participate in the food system? Trucks are still allowed to move. The places that produce food are still producing food. The places that need food are still going to need food. Where on that food chain do you want to plug in? Now, some of you are listening to me. You are too urbanized. When we say these things, you're thinking, rice, what? Posho, base, matoke. Then why do you have a brain? So, what seems like a disadvantage can become an advantage for you in just moments. Just think what is needed right now. What advantage can you play? For those of you who are watching and you're already participating in this, please let me know how you are taking advantage of the situation, how you are moving from being on the losing side of the economy to the winning side of the economy. In every crisis, there is always a winning side of the economy. And either you can sit around, complain, cry, or you can move to the winning side of the economy. Just think what is needed in this season, and those are many things. What is needed, education-wise, what is needed? Home, parents are stuck at home with children. Some of them haven't been in the same space with children for forever. What is needed? What do they need? What solutions can you take? It's just think about it. Board games. Yeah, right now we haven't moved to that degree yet. People are still thinking food items. A time will come when people start looking for Ludo. and Otio, etc. Board games. If the thing goes longer, people are going to need all sorts of services beyond the physical needs. How can you position yourself to do that? What can you do online? If you're a coach, can you coach online? If you're a counselor, can you counsel online? What is needed at this time? So that's how you can play the advantage. But let's say you're not in a position to play the advantage. There is something, one of the ways to grow your wealth, we call it simplification. Yeah, by the way, some people are talking about the medical field as well. If numbers keep going up and people still need immunity boosters, vitamin C, etc., all of that. Yeah. Peter Nyan saying he made the habit of never going out of the house with coins. Now he has a substantial amount of collection of them. He's going to survive on those coins. But one of the things, let me talk about this, simplification. Simplification is one of the ways you grow your net worth. One of the ways to grow your net worth is to save and purchase assets, invest and bring cash flow and keep growing. But one of the ways is simplification. And in this season, for a lot of the Kampalans, simplification is going to be your friend. What do I mean by simplification? Cutting off all unnecessary expenses. Cutting off all unnecessary expenses. Making sure you have the basics and you have enough cash reserves, and even having some of those cash reserves, if possible, some of it, not a lot of it, some of it in cash, in case it gets complicated going to go get it where you need it and the shop owner next door doesn't want mobile money. They don't have a Momo Pay bill number. They want cash. You need to have some cash. So have some cash. But simplification. And this is for long term. If it gets long term, I'm believing it's not going to. I've refused long term. Yeah. Damal is saying stocks have dropped dramatically, so they are moving in that direction. Yes, definitely. If you can buy stocks, buy now. Buy wisely. Buy stocks that you know have to bounce back regardless, like airline stocks, if the airline survives, because if you may buy stock in an airline and it closes shop, files for bankruptcy. But oil companies, I know are going to survive. So buy stocks in oil companies. They are going to survive and rebound. But I was talking about simplification. Simplify. If you get to lockdown status of say 3 weeks and you know you're okay, you're not sick, and 2 other friends of yours are okay, why not just lock 2 of your houses, move in with the other 2 friends, and each has their bedroom and you share everything, internet, electricity, what you buy from the same nearby shop, name it. You've simplified. Now, I know I'm giving you some sort of worst case scenario, but I have to give you all the options and it's up to you to choose. I'm going to advocate simplification. Yeah, the party is not on right now, so simplify. Your uncle lives nearby, move in. Your friends, whatever, move in, simplify, move into the same house if you need to, move into the same neighborhood, move into the same space, because one of the key things that you're going to need in this season is community. Thank God for online. People used to think that social media is not good community, that people have to meet physically, but now social media has proven to be a godsend. So we're able to communicate, we're able to reach out, we're able to know how everyone is doing, we're able to send messages of hope like this one. So that's it. I'm going to repeat myself and then I'm going to let you guys make your own contributions. 1, best case scenario, you have an investment that keeps giving cash flow. Next best case scenario, you have cash reserves, but they can run out. So what do? Play the advantage. Find out what do people need. This is the time to form emergency businesses, emergency companies. You You may not have time to go register it with the registrar. But just say, Kamara Okumo Chohere Maize Supplies, or whoever it is. Yeah. So Mary Chohere is in simplification mode, postponing her plans to move house. Yes, if you haven't moved house yet and you're still staying with your parents, postpone. It's simplification. Even weddings have been simplified, funerals have been simplified. Many of you know one of our friends who passed yesterday. It's very difficult for the family because people can't be there in large numbers. So simplification is going to become a key player if this thing goes on longer than we are hoping, praying, and thinking. So, again, how do we go about this for the future? Keep planning. Keep planning. Don't spend all you earn. Don't spend all you earn. Don't spend all you earn. Plan and make sure that you have a buffer of cash reserves. Now, here's one bad one. As much as is possible, avoid borrowing. Avoid borrowing. No borrowing. Don't go to the loan shark, call out to your friends, do whatever it takes to avoid borrowing. Because you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't have a plan for paying back. So you're just going to get yourself into a tight spot. So if I were you, I would avoid borrowing. So I'm going to leave 5 minutes to answer some of the questions some of you raised. No borrowing. No. Yes, Angela Sanyu is saying no borrowing. Banange, yes, no borrowing. Do not borrow in this crisis. Do not borrow in this crisis. Because then you will turn a situational problem into a generational problem. Don't be like that woman whose husband, who was a prophet, borrowed. And now she was going to lose her 2 sons to slavery. So no borrowing. Instead of borrowing, think. If you use your mind, if you think, the solution is near you. The solution is not far from where you are. So engage your mind, refuse to borrow, and play the advantage. What can you do in this moment? One last thing as I got into answering some of the questions is remain a giver. Remain a giver. In moments like this, the temptation is very high to stop being a giver, but the Bible says that that's the best thing you can do. Remain a giver, that he who withholds shall get into lack, but he who shares with others shall himself what? Be refreshed. He who refreshes others shall himself be refreshed. So remain a giver. Remain. Daniel Gachaya, why should your bed be taken from under you? Yeah, so don't borrow, remain a giver, plan. And if it turns out good, awesome, but I want you to plan long term. Plan long term, plan 2 months. If it goes on for 2 months, I want you to be able to operate normally with 2 months. Buy yaka for 2 months, buy grains for 2 months, buy enough to share with your neighbors because you're going to continue to be a giver. Whatever you do, think at least 2 months. If it goes on for more than 2 months, by that time, surely we will have come up with a different national strategy. Yep. So, some of you sent questions. Partnerships in business. I don't know if anyone is thinking right now you have to be thinking partnerships in business, because whatever you want to do, you can't do it alone. Don't do it alone. In order for you to take advantage of the current economic climate, you can't do it alone. So, figure out how to do it with others. If you're going to supply maize, grain, you're going to run a shop, deliveries. Now the deliveries business is going to be big. So is that border guy of yours who's been giving you money from taking passengers now becomes a delivery person. And so you create a network of recipients, people who need this, Buga, Dodo, whatever, from this supermarket. One guy goes around with a border, buys everything, delivers, and gets paid. That's how your border is going to make money. So, no borrowing. Have fuel. So, partnerships are important. So get into partnerships right now with people you know, everything written down, and there should be a certain degree of trust. So some Jonathan Bukenya was saying investment in crisis. In crisis, you invest in the things where everyone is running away from, or in the things that people need. Right now, people are going to need food. People are going to need comfort mechanisms to stay at home. Games, electronic companies are making money now. Television, online, all of that. So if you can deliver online content, that's a good place to invest. In terms of stock markets, that's going to be things that have dipped now that have to come back, like oil, airplanes, and all of that. Indiana Jokisa asked about lending and borrowing. Again, no borrowing. Also, no lending. Unless you are running a lending company like Gold Mine Finance, Harvest Finance. Rather, don't lend, because you're going to lose both the relationship and the money. That happens always. I don't know why people never understand it. So don't lend. Instead, give. Robert Musinguzi, which investment is less affected by ups and downs? Naturally, investments work in terms of high risk, high return, low risk, low return. So right now, that's why I told you last time about the investment scale, where you have about 60% of all your portfolio in low risk, low return, 30% medium risk, medium return, and 10% high risk, high return. So the principles, I think, should stay the same, whether it is volatile season or not. Brian Nikan says people keeping money in banks at this time. I called a friend of mine. She manages a bank branch of one of the banks. The banking hall was full to capacity with people. They closed the bank at 4 p.m. They still had to serve people until almost 8 p.m. Those who, when they closed, were inside the banking hall, because everyone is getting their money out and getting cards, etc. I'm not so sure. Have some cash. I hope now you have a card. So what do we learn? Take these electronic things seriously. Some people have been there not getting a card. Now you're rushing to get a card because you know if the bank will be open tomorrow, and you need to be able to just walk to the ATM machine. So take electronics seriously. The world has moved on. Don't live like you're in the 80s. Take these platforms seriously. Have your Visa card. Make sure, but don't make a run on the bank. It won't help the economy. So don't withdraw money you need to invest. There's been some cries of NSSF should give savers their money now. I don't know what I'm going to say to that. And NSSF responded with a very strong statement. In a way, I think they are right. That's not the purpose of that money. Because after this crisis has passed, you'll still be alive, and you'll still need that money when you retire. That's a retirement package. It's not your crisis package, I think. So I think that we are a good community as Ugandans. We have all these extended family connections, church connections, friendship connections. I think we can use those networks as survival mechanisms in this season. So use your networks as survival mechanisms in these seasons. Don't borrow. Don't make a run on the bank. Store what you need. Don't overstore more than what you need. Just have enough to take you for like 2 months. Surely the government is also doing their best. If things get to a point where we get to 2 months and there's no solution, I'm sure there will be shifts in the tactics already. In America, Trump is already starting to say he wants the economy back up and running by mid-April. Lots of arguments about that. The crisis, the infections are still growing. They have done this campaign of flattening the curve. They want to flatten and crash the curve because they can see that if they continue operating the way they are now beyond mid-April, the economy may start having serious issues. So same thing with us. Our economy is not too electronic, but still you can't slow it down for that long. So I think there will be solutions will keep emerging as we go, but use your brain, use your faith, use your tongue well, and use your current networks and connections. If you've invested well in finances, invested well in relationships, invested well in faith, you shouldn't be suffering in this season. If you find that you hadn't invested well now you can start investing. It's not a good time to be starting, but you can always start. All right. So thanks so much for joining us for Money Moments today. Let's meet here next Thursday, and let's keep going. Thank you so much. Yep. So don't panic, don't fear, just take it easy. Get what you need, not what you want. Just get what you need and make sure that you're able to be there for 2 months and simplify. If you think that the three of you in different houses, what you have can take you for 3 weeks, but if you moved into one house, it can take you for 3 months or 2 months, that's what I would do if I were you. So move in with those who, where you can put resources together and be able to take the long haul, if it comes to a long haul situation. Otherwise, God bless you so much. You are winning this economic battle against coronavirus in the name of Jesus. Amen.